Mhm.
We're talking about 5 easy ways to use music to help kids grow and thrive, whether it's at home, via telehealth, parenting. We're going to have a wide audience here tonight of parents, speech therapists, likely some social workers as well, pediatricians, anyone who's really caring for kids, both personally and professionally, especially during some pretty trying times right now.
Mhm.
So I'm beyond happy to introduce you to Ryan Judd. And Ryan is a Billboard chart topping recording artist. It's so fun for me to say that because I also know Ryan personally. We've known each other for over 20 years, but I'm just going to say it again. He is a Billboard chart topping recording artist, and he's also an internationally known music therapist. Ryan, can you do me a favor? Because
Yeah.
you kind of know your credentials better than I. Can you give everybody the kind of the 2-minute rundown of who you are professionally, and then I'm going to tell them who you are personally.
That sounds great. Yeah, so gosh, I got my graduate degree in music therapy about 20 years ago and immediately started private practice and first I started specializing mostly with kids with special needs.
Yeah.
And as those kids got older, I started working with a lot of adolescents and young adults. So, kind of a varying spectrum, but I'm also a composer and a musician. And so I also create music, mostly music for relaxation and yoga and sleep. That's kind of been my niche, and I've really enjoyed doing that too, and kind of balancing those two worlds. And they really feed off each other really well. So, Mel, it's such a pleasure to be here with you because, as you know, you're one of my mentors, not only as a therapist, but as an entrepreneur. So it's just so cool to be a part of this.
So you're so sweet. So I'm going to let everybody in on a little secret. I graduated from graduate school when I was in my 30s, and I was a brand new speech pathologist at a little rehab hospital here in Boulder, Colorado. And my desk overlooked the windows and the beautiful mountains, and it was pretty special, big picture window. And shortly after I got that job, this young man comes in and he holds out his hand. He goes, "Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm the music therapy intern." And Ryan had the desk right next to mine. And I remember so clearly, we shared a little girl who had Williams syndrome.
I,
Remember, her name started with A. She was my very first client ever out of graduate school. And you helped me so much with her because, like many children with Williams syndrome, she adored music. But you also had the brilliant idea, Mel, can I come in and when you're doing a video swallow, I'll bring my guitar and I'll work with the kids and help them calm down so they can accept that barium-laden cracker, because he wants to eat that.
yeah.
And we did so many fun things like that together and a lot of co-therapy and co-treatment together.
Yeah.
And then you went off to, are you in New Hampshire? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm in New Hampshire.
Yeah. And got married and have 2 beautiful boys and, award-winning albums. And you're on Pandora. I was listening in the middle of the night last night to your children's CD about relaxation because I was trying to get back to sleep. Can you tell everybody a little bit about that? Because I think that's especially important for everyone listening.
Yeah, well, it's been so interesting. My journey as a musician, I can't let go of that music therapist part of me, right?
No.
So of course, part of my mind is always thinking like, how can I create music, compose and produce music that can help people in some way, shape, or form?
Mhm.
And so after I had my first child, then I realized, oh my God, this sleep thing, this is intense and we're exhausted. And we didn't have it that bad. Like we had friends who, they were really suffering.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh my gosh, I mean, this is such a great way to use my unique skill set as a music therapist, a parent, and a musician to create some music based on research in the music therapy field on what helps people relax, what about music helps people relax. And so I compose and produce this sleep album. It's called like a lullaby album, but they aren't lullabies. They're my original compositions. And it's really a sleep album for babies and parents, right? Because I didn't want them to be listening to some weird slow down version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for the 30th time, knowing that the parents are listening on the monitor or maybe co-sleeping or whatever. So all original compositions, all at 60 beats per minute, which is the resting heart rate. And there's a super chill, like ocean background that even goes between tracks. So there's no silence between individual tracks. So I really put a lot of thought and energy into it. And I'm really proud of how it came out.
I don't know if you knew this about me, Ryan, but I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, right on the Chesapeake Bay before we moved to Colorado. And when I went off to college, I could not go to sleep at night, and I never knew why. And I realized later it's because I wasn't hearing the ocean waves. My bedroom literally opened up onto the beach.
Wow.
And but I never knew I was listening to those because they were always there in the background. And there is something about those ocean waves that's so calming and helps you be centered. And that 60 beats per minute, we know for sure that that is calming. Yeah. So speaking of that, can you tell everyone just some of your tips as not only an artist, but a music therapist about really listening to music? Because I think we tend to have music on in the background, but there's a lot of important points around listening.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of ways you can use it intentionally.
Yes.
So, for instance, 2 hours ago, we were having a crazy dinner with the boys, right? 2.5 and 5.5 years old. It was just one of those dinners, that happened every 3 or 4 nights where you're just like, oh my God. So it was, hey, Alexa, play We Dream by Ryan Judd. Not because I'm egotistical, just I know that like that works, like that combination of the fingerstyle instrumental, slow tempo guitar with the ocean background. And it helps. And the thing is, it not only helps the kids start to settle down, but it helps us. And in those moments of silence between fussing or whatever, it really just lays kind of the mood for those moments in between. So that if you have another fussy moment, I feel like on a sensory level, both the parents and the kids are more ready to deal with that. So really using it intentionally and making something like that a part of your bedtime routine. Whatever music your child feels is soothing, and whatever music you feel is soothing too. So to use those types of songs, that type of music intentionally in those times. During meal times can be great. Also during special times. This morning I got my little guy and it was just him and I. And I put on some really lovely music that for me is very emotive. It was just some like solo piano stuff. And to have that be the soundscape of my special time with my little one, and helps me open my heart and be more present. I feel like that's a really beautiful thing to share, and the music helps me take it to that deeper, more heartfelt level. So I think even that can be super special and a wonderful way to bond with your child, and to comfort your child and to open up your own heart. Obviously during chores, whether it's the kids doing them or whether it's you're doing them, there's so much to do now that we're in our homes more, and gosh, dishes, whatever it may be, just use that music. And I feel like so many times it's at our fingertips, but we don't necessarily use it as much as we could. We all know, whether we're working out or doing chores or whatever, that can give you that extra little boost to make that activity more enjoyable, and to really give you that little bit of energy boost. So different things like that could be really helpful.
And I know in a little while we're going to be talking about the importance of movement combined with music, but you're reminding me that the thing about chores, most of them involve some movement. And so having that music in there too, it's just a little bit more real life. And with so many parents home now with their kids, and when we're practicing social and physical distancing, that, that opportunity to move, even if it's the whole family does a chore for 10 minutes and everybody just chips in, having maybe even the youngest one getting to pick out the song can be pretty fun.
Sure.
And what about, we have a lot of therapists tuning in, and a lot of parents too, and they want to know how to incorporate music, not only into teletherapy, but at home itself. But what if you don't have any instruments in the house, or you just can't handle any more piano?
Yeah, definitely some fun instruments that you can make at home. So Instruments are wonderful. That's one other point I really want to make is, hey, there's some great ways you can use instruments, but intentionally, again, to have not only have fun and give an outlet for self-expression, but also to work on some therapeutic goals. So little homemade drum action here, right? It's just great little, I did so much research. I tried like all these different homemade drums, and I finally found this was the best sounding, easiest to make. And it's just like an old like tomato can. I've got a link of a video where I walk you through every step of making this with your child.
Oh, good.
But it's basically like an old like V8 kind of can with some packing tape. Super simple, right? But it sounds really good. And then I did this little like duct tape handle. So you can have it adaptive, or the kid can have it in their hand, dancing, moving, and it sounds good. And then you've got the little rim strike, and then you've got this little, let me get this. So you get all these kind of different sounds, right?
Yeah.
And to work on goals as a therapist, there's so much you could do with this. Even something as like an imitation, sustained attention. I've got a drum. It's really, really neat. It's your turn now to copy my beat. And then you can make it simple or harder depending on their level. You can make it tricky. You could even do different sounds. Boom, boom, tap. So sequencing like that. You can work on all sorts of prepositions. Even something like, let me grab a little egg shaker here. And do something like, where is the egg shaker? Where could it be? Where is the egg shaker? Please tell me. It's on the drum, or it's in the drum.
Yeah.
Behind the drum, under the drum. And it just goes on and on. With a little bit of creativity and a couple easy instruments, you can do so much. Some of my other go-to instruments that I really love are the cabasa. And this is just like a sensory dream, right?
Yeah.
You can also, you can do some deep pressure stuff with it. And kids just tend to love it. And I would say my other go-to instrument that kids love is the lollipop drum, right? So that's a super fun one too that kids just go crazy over. But also some calming instruments, like maybe a nice mellow rain stick, and having that to use. But there's so many great little online videos for making homemade instruments. The cool thing is when you're doing this, maybe you're working on some fine motor skills. Maybe you're having the child tear the duct tape or cut the packing tape, or using that pincer to peel off the stickers and place them on.
Yeah.
There's so obviously you're going to be the one with the can opener taking the metal part off. But there's so many cool motor skills that I address. And I also go in the video that I'll share with you.
You know what, though? I love that because it's not only that you could, perhaps the parents at home could help make this, and we're going to be putting the link for your tutorial on that here shortly when we're all done. But not only could they make it ahead of time at home, but I could also have the same pieces of props, of the duct tape, the can, etc., and I could make it and video model for the child on the other side. And me, since I specialize in pediatric feeding, a lot of my kids were working on chewing 5 times here, chewing 5 times there, and like building up strength and stability in the mouth before we ever get to mealtime. Yeah. So I could say, we're going to do 5 chews here, and then we're going to stick on a jewel on our drum. Let's do it again. Let's do 5 over here and put another jewel on. I mean, I could take up a whole session just making this fun drum, even if we never get to playing it. Or we could make it ahead of time, or I could use it for the second session and we'll play it. So I'm all excited. You got it.
Yeah. It's just, there's so many things. I mean, then once the drum is done, you could make up a little song like, chew on your left side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and chew on your right side, and maybe do the different sound, with your little stick thing. Oh, that kind of sounds like you're grinding on food there, right? Or like your teeth are grinding. So, I mean, you could keep going with that one for sure.
I miss working with you. This is the kind of stuff we did 20 years ago.
I know. It's so fun.
Now, let's get back to, we were talking earlier about movement too. Talk a little bit about being intentional about movement and some of your tips around that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just think that there's so many fun movement songs out there. I mean, on my DVD, I have one that I consulted with lots of OTs and PTs. I said, okay, what are the gross motor movements we really need to work on here? And so, we're doing the high knee step in, we're doing the bear crawls, we're even doing like the snake, the Superman kind of thing where you're being a snake on your belly. And of course,
Yeah.
we're all making it fun and we're balancing on one foot and doing all these fun things. So, there's a lot of great movement songs. I'll send a link. I've got a little clip on YouTube that shows some of that song. But,
Okay.
but even like classics like, Raffi, Shake Your Sillies Out, you
Yeah.
know? But instead of, shake, shake, shake your sillies out, why, if you have a shaker, that would be really fun too. But, you could do stomp, stomp out your sillies, right? And do that high knee walk. You
Yes.
could jump your sillies out.
Yeah.
You could clap your sillies out. You could drum your sillies out. I mean, you could bear crawl your sillies out. Like, you just find one little song and you can get so much out of it with kids and they're having fun because you're doing it. Now, here's the thing. Yes, I love recorded music, right? But live music with you singing and you leading, that's when you can take it to the next level, because then all of a sudden you could do, we're gonna jump, right? That big expectant look. And
Yeah.
as the child jumped, jump your sillies out, jump, jump. Yes, jump your sillies. So when we're telehealth, right?
Right.
Or you're a parent at home, just
Right.
live music and just singing and just knowing, hey, it doesn't matter if you got a good voice or not. This isn't the symphony.
You know me,
Just
I don't have a good voice, but I don't care. They're 3 years old.
yeah, kids don't care. The research shows that kids don't care, even if you're like really bad with pitch and stuff like that. They don't care. You're having fun. They're having fun. It's music. It's motivating. It makes everything better.
And I love how you're incorporating the pause time, that 3-second pause time to encourage the child to respond in some way. Even if, for parents listening especially, even if the child doesn't respond with the actual word like jump, but maybe they respond with the body movement, that's communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's following directions, it's sequencing, like it just goes on and on. You can think of almost any kind of gross motor movement, or even again, like sequencing, following directions, impulse control. You could do fun freezes in the middle of the song where the child has to freeze their body and wait for your cue. I mean, it just goes on and on.
Well, and I want to mention to everybody listening, be sure to type your questions in for Ryan. We're going to be taking questions here in just a moment. But I want to just revisit what you said earlier when you were talking about sort of making up your own songs too. What about kids writing songs? I can think how important that is from a language perspective, but as a music therapist, can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, I feel like that is a pot of gold that a lot of people don't tap into because they feel like, wait, how can I write a song? I know that they're really effective for teaching skills and academics and different routines or even some social challenges, but I don't know anything about writing a song. It's really easy. All you got to do is just take a super familiar melody like The Wheels on the Bus and change the words a little bit. And, so might be, Jack plays the big drum up and down. Maybe you're working on location concepts up and down.
Right.
Or maybe he's holding the drum and you're working on this shoulder extension, Jack plays the big drum up and down, up and down, up and down. Jack plays the big drum. Maybe you're working on motor planning and you've got the drum and you might be holding it up high and they have to follow it. You might be moving it around a little bit and they have to hit that drum as you're moving it. So you're working on some some focus, sustained attention, some eye tracking. So much can be going on there. Or you're working on some articulation. Maybe you're a therapist, you're doing a telehealth thing. You could even hold up a letter B, and say the B on the bus goes ba, ba, ba. We work on some phonetics. The S on the bus goes s, s, s. And again, if you're singing it live, you can make it your own. You can add in those pauses, the wait time, the visual phonetics, whatever you're working on, you can just tailor it.
And when you just said when it's live, but I know you have a really good tip that surprised me when you and I were chatting earlier about when you are going to play recorded music, what type of speaker to use and where to position it. Can you tell everybody about that?
Yes, that's because obviously I've had to dive real quick into the telehealth model. And so I've taken I've taken seminars on it over the past couple of weeks. I've learned a lot, and I still have a lot to learn. But one of the cool things I learned, for all you therapists out there especially, is if you're doing a telehealth thing, maybe you want to play some relaxing music and do some deep breathing with one of these beautiful little breath balls.
Oh, nice.
Start the session, right? Because if we don't get these kids regulated and a little bit calm, especially in this high anxiety time, it's going to be really challenging to use telehealth, and it's going to be really challenging to work on goals. So the trick is, I'm using a USB mic, and these are awesome, but if you don't have one, you could just hold up a Bluetooth speaker to your computer microphone, wherever that may be. And because you can't really play the music through your computer if you're using the computer for telehealth.
Right.
And then you can just have it going on the Bluetooth. Let me turn this guy on here. And what you do is you just kind of hold it up to the speaker. And then you could do, even put that down. Oh, there's the Bluetooth kicking in. And then you could start having a nice visual, nice relaxing music. You can do some shoulder shrugs, big inhale, or reach for the sky, inhale, and like a bird, your wings come down.
I know everybody's doing this with us.
I hope so. Everyone needs it. I mean, come on.
My friend Matthew in Florida is watching right now, and I know he's doing it with me.
Awesome. So yeah, it's a great way to start, and it's a great way to be able to play music via the telehealth, is just having that Bluetooth speaker held up to your USB mic or the microphone on your computer.
That's such a good point, though, to hold it right up there. That makes, I wouldn't have thought of that, because the thing is, I'm not on the receiving end. I'm in my office. They're in their kitchen or their bedroom. So we don't often know how well our message and our music is being transmitted from a communication standpoint. So I love that idea that you just hold it right up there to the mic to be sure. Yeah. And you also have another way to use music, and that's through social stories, which I remember you and I used to do a lot of when we worked at the rehab center together. But can you walk through not only the professionals, but also the parents? Because I think right now, in the midst of this pandemic, having a social story to help kids understand not only how to calm down, but also, frankly, I'd love to see one about physical distance and understanding that we need to have some space between us and our friends in the yard next door, and kind of what that looks like. Can you talk to about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think social stories are awesome. And when you add music and make them musical, it takes it to another level of kids being interested and intrigued and engaged. And I really like this app, Story Creator. What's the one you use, Mel?
I use Adobe Spark, but I like Story Creator too.
So it just allows you to kind of create these fun little social stories. Can you see that okay?
Maybe tilt it a smidge this way toward.
Yeah, I can see it.
There we go.
That's a little bit better right there. All right, well, let me get this one going, and I'll kind of show you with just some basic images. And again, taking a familiar melody, nothing fancy here, just taking a familiar melody, Twinkle, Twinkle, Old MacDonald, Skip to My Lou, whatever, and just changing the words to make it appropriate for whatever skill you're working on. And bubble, bubble, bubble space. Let's give our friends their own space. Brilliant. Give an arm's length. That's the way to have a safe and happy day. Bubble, bubble, bubble space. Let's give our friends their own space. Yeah. Cool, right?
So cool and so consistent. One of the things I love about social stories is that the kids read them over and over and over. I was just speaking about this last week when we were talking about kids with Down syndrome in particular, and that they especially love those visual models and the repetition to learn. And that's the beauty of creating a social story, whether you're using an app that would create the picture for you, or whether you're using a photograph of the child and creating the social story in your session.
Personalizing it also, is obviously I wanted to use something generic, so I didn't show pictures of kids, but with your own kids, or if you have client permission to use pictures of those kids, to use their voice. A lot of times my clients will help me make these, and I'll teach them the song, and then I'll record their voice and add it to the song. So, there's so many fun things you can do, but personalizing, I think, takes it to another level. Did you recognize the melody? No.
What did you say? You broke up there. Say it one more time.
Did you recognize the melody? The kid song that was
Of course, yeah.
Right, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, right? Nothing fancy. I mean, anyone can do that.
And then it's not so overwhelming, especially for parents who have a lot on their plate right now. This is something that is very doable and doesn't require a steep learning curve, because everybody has a steep learning curve going on in general right now. But I was going to ask you a favor. I know that we're going to have some questions that are going to pop up here any second. Everybody remember to please type them in so that I can pop them up on the screen. Would you grab your guitar and just play a little bit of your music while I'm looking through the questions so everybody can enjoy it? Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell everybody. Well, Ryan, you're providing a 50% off code tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody about that
I was thinking about this today. I was thinking, like, all right, people are hurting financially in many other ways. I mean, I'm not trying to make a lot of money off this right now. And I rarely ever do like a 50% off, but I have so many great resources and I want people to have access to them, and I don't want to have them sweat the price. So I'll throw out that 50%, not only for everything on my Rhythm Tree site, which is all my music therapy resources, the DVD, the CD, the songbooks, all these video courses, but also on my restfulsounds.com, which is my albums of nature sounds and guitar for sleep and the lullaby and all that good stuff.
So tell everybody the websites, the complete URL on both of those, because we're going to put them in the comments when we're all done here, but just in case anybody wants to jot them down now or go to them while they're listening. Yeah,
so it's therhythmtree.com, and that's the music therapy one. And then the other one is restfulsounds.com.
That's great. Will you grab your guitar?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, awesome. Just play me a minute or two.
Yeah, for sure.
Take me back to memories of working with you.
Melody for you.
I love it. I love it. Renee has a nice comment here and a question. She said, we used music for my daughter. We found that even at school, that some earbuds with low music helps calm her. What's interesting to us is if she can listen to music while doing schoolwork, reading a book, and still take and pass a test on the book. She has some pretty significant anxiety, and we're learning that music seems to really help that. Ryan, do you have any idea why it is so calming and helpful to kids with anxiety?
Wow. It's just something about music. And the cool thing is the research is really starting to come out. One of the most exciting things about the field of music therapy now is neurological music therapy. In schools like Berkeley School of Music, which has a music therapy program, partnering up with MIT and doing all these neurological scans. So we're finding that there's significant physical effects and neurological effects when you're listening to music. And the interesting thing, though, it is quite subjective. Like, for certain kids, they might like this type of music for calming, or they might like this type of music for calming. So although there's some general, dynamics to follow when you're trying to create calming music, it is still personal. But I think it's beautiful that people are doing this. And that's one of the things I wanted to mention was create easy playlists where you could just say, hey, Siri, play my calming playlist, or hey, Siri, play my washing the dishes playlist. Just make it at your fingertips and put it at the fingertips of your child so that they can access the music when they need it. That's beautiful. I love it.
I love what you just said there too. So they can access it when they need it. Because one of the things I believe, and just with my research on anxiety around pediatric feeding disorders and anxiety, is that when we give kids the skill to tolerate the feeling of being anxious. We don't always make the feeling go away. But when kids know, okay, I'm feeling anxious, I can deal with this feeling if I go for a walk, if I listen to this music. I know to cue my playlist. And the more that helps them to manage the feeling, the more they learn how to manage the feeling. And on their own, they'll then begin going, I need my calming playlist. Alexa, play my calming playlist, right? Yeah, because the fact that it worked is what's so reinforcing. So I have a feeling what Renee is saying here is that her daughter knows it works, and she finds comfort in the fact that she has a strategy to help herself feel better. I know that would make me feel more in control too, if I had a strategy that I could incorporate to help me feel better. So
I love the use of the headphones. That again, it just kind of eliminates the chaos of the outer world. And there's something about using headphones or noise canceling headphones that can really take the music listening experience to a deeper level.
I love that. Appropriately, a lovely person named Melanie is saying, I just did a continuing education course with Ryan. He's an exceptional music therapist.
That's awesome. Thank you, Melanie.
I didn't know she was going to say that. She's right, though. She's right. Melissa's in Florida, and she said, my children both fall asleep to music and have since infancy. I use music in my therapy sessions regularly, and it makes such a difference. Melissa's an SLP. I'll say too that I think I told you this story when we had first met, but my oldest daughter, Mallory, when I was pregnant with her, her heel was right in my right rib. And that night, and so I was constantly rubbing that heel and trying to push it out of my rib. Yeah. Well, that was in December, and I was really into George Winston's Christmas album. Mallory was born in January, and the only way I could get her to calm down was to play the George Winston Christmas album. She could hear it. And I would rub her feet, and we would play that album because she had learned that worked for her even when she was in my womb.
It's beautiful. Love it.
Yeah. So let's see what other questions we have here. Let's see. I know we're going to have a bunch of questions pop up here in any second. Any other tips that you want to share with us while people are typing?
Sing and read books.
Oh, fantastic.
So easy, whether you're a therapist or a parent, it's all the visuals are right there. The visual supports. You don't need a big deck of cards or some app with all these visuals when you're working on some articulation or some location concepts or even some basic reading skills. But, the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water. Big pause, right? And with music, there's that inherent tension. It's harmonic, and there's theory and everything behind it, but we all know it. When you get to the end of a line and you leave that big pause, that is such a wonderful, fun, natural cue, natural prompt for a child to fill it in, whether it's a word or a phrase or an action or emotion. There's so many ways you can use that. It's called like the closed technique in music therapy.
It's same in speech therapy, the closed technique, where you're filling in that final blank. And it doesn't have to be at the end of a long sentence. It can be in a short phrase. But yeah, for sure, we use that too. I love it. Renee has a good question here. Do you have a recommendation of good budget-friendly noise-canceling headphones?
Yeah, because those Bose ones are crazy expensive.
Yeah.
I think it's pronounced like, I don't know, it's some German name, like Sennheiser or something like that. Okay. I remember when I got some noise canceling headphones, I looked online, but with all the third party stuff on Amazon, and there's hundreds of reviews, so you can usually tell. I would probably end up just getting some kind of third party one that's manufactured in China, but it will probably be very similar to Bose. I mean, it won't be that quality, but that's kind of an audiophile thing anyway. So I bet there's some really good ones out there that you wouldn't have to spend $100+ to get.
Might just require a little bit of online shopping.
Yeah.
We're all doing a lot of right now.
Yeah, of course.
Christine has a good question. She said, what can you suggest for a speech language pathologist who loves music but is really tone deaf? Oh, she's talking about me.
Well, again, first of all, kids, the research shows that kids don't really care about your level of pitch. But one thing I like to do is, okay, you don't want to sing a song? Well, chant it. Like rhythm,
Yeah.
rhythm is really rules. Like melody is king, but rhythm rules, right? So rhythm is actually more important. And this is what a lot of the neurological research is showing. Rhythm is the most important element of music. So, I've got a drum. It's really, really neat. It's your turn now to copy my beat. Instead of I've got a drum. You don't need to sing it. You can chant it. So
Yeah.
if you're feeling a little shaky about that, just chant it and get that pulse, that rhythm in there. That's the most important thing.
You just reminded me, I just had a memory shoot back from 20 years ago. We worked with a little boy together who had fetal alcohol syndrome, and he had severe, he was very ataxic because of it, and really had trouble walking down the hallway. And we worked with an OT as well, Michelle.
Yeah.
And you taught us to chant with him to help him find a rhythm to his walking. And we would chant all the way down the hallway till we got to the OT room and we co-treated together.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that tip. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Yeah, such a good one. Melissa has a question here for you too. We'll maybe take one or two more. Ryan, what research or reading information about music and music therapy for our parents in our facility? Is there any good information? You probably have some on your website that's good to share with parents so they start to incorporate some of these strategies?
Yeah, I would say go to rhythmtree.com and my about page. It starts out with a little bio and stuff, but then I just have a bunch of articles and resources, even like how can you get music therapy as a related service on your child's IEP. And there's like a sample letter and a sample checklist, and there's articles on how you can use music at home and how to address motor skills and academic skills and speech skills. And I've written a lot of articles for a lot of special needs periodicals. So a lot of times the link will bring you to, like Parenting Special Needs Magazine or something like that. But
Right.
There is a wealth of information on my About page with a lot of great free resources.
Fantastic. I wasn't very good at really telling everybody about all the amazing resources that you have, some that are free and others that you have generously given everyone a 50% off code for. And we're going to put that code here in the comments in a second. But can you just give a brief rundown of what they'll find on your websites?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the about page has some fun articles and some infographics and cool stuff like that. And then my store page has this fun DVD, CD, songbook package that I put together. That was like my leap into entrepreneurism. And Mel, you were so helpful in that. Those are some good memories of connecting with you and getting so much encouragement and support and good advice from you. But yeah, I just wanted to create a package that would be awesome for therapists or parents. Just say, here you go. Here's everything you need. Here's all these 9 great songs. Each song addresses different developmental skills. And here's the songbook with all the music and the lyrics and adaptive strategies and the goals we're working on. And here's all these bonus chapters on how to make homemade instruments and how to make instruments adaptive. And here's the CD with all the songs if you want to listen to the car or anything like that. So it was a fun project, and I put my heart and soul into it, and I'm really proud of it. It's really fun. So I have not only the physical edition, but also just a digital download version where I'll just email you all the files digitally, the MP4, the DVD, the MP3s, and the PDF of the songbook. So that's a fun one. And then I've got like a music and social skills video course, and that just kind of goes over how to use music to address particular social skills. So that's a fun one too. Then, just the songbook and some other albums and things like that on there. So there's some really good resources there.
And tell everybody your channel on Pandora, because I was listening when I was walking outside today. It's a beautiful day here in Colorado. I got to go outside, and obviously social distance, but I was listening on Pandora. Can you tell everybody your channel is?
Yeah, you can actually just look up Ryan Judd on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, any of the streaming services, and you'll find a variety of things. You'll find An Open Sky, which is that Billboard chart topping album that I did. That was really special. It's just instrumental guitar and cello. And that was special for me because although I've focused so much on clinical uses of music, This was more just an artistic expression. And it actually was inspired by this beautiful young girl that I had the privilege of working with. She was this little 3-year-old girl who had brain cancer. And the whole experience of working with her and the bond we created, and then the whole experience of dealing with her passing, it just left me with more emotion than I knew what to deal with. And it all poured out in this album. And it was really beautiful. So it's just instrumental fingerstyle guitar. And I hired this amazing cellist to accompany me. And so it's just guitar and cello. And it's very,
beautiful.
very soothing. A lot of people use it for yoga and meditation, relaxation, sleep. So that was a special project. I'm so glad I did that.
It's a gift for all of us. I'm really glad you did it too. And I'm also really glad that you took the time to do this with me tonight.
Yeah.
And I know everybody listening is going to share this video. I'll put it on my YouTube channel as well tomorrow for everyone and send it out in my newsletter. And again, to everybody listening, we'll put some links and the discount code and everything you need to know in all the comments. But most of all, Ryan, thank you so much. I just feel like you're such a blessing to everyone, but to reconnect with you, it really warms my heart. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a wonderful night.